Stellaris and the First Contact, Dev Diary 193, Signal Discovered. What is this Dev Diary about? It's about the first contact with aliens and the different things you can do to investigate them further before you actually can talk normally towards them, how it will influence your future relations with them, what kind of possibilities and what kind of actions you have available for these first contact actions. So exploration has always been one of the best parts of Stellaris, and we're focusing on first contact here. Your first step is establishing a first contact protocol. In first contact protocols, you have a choice now what you do with the aliens you meet. Usually you cannot do much. You can say one of a couple of things once you've deciphered their language, and that was it, but it didn't have any influence. So you can see here that you can greet the Xenos with open arms. This policy has the following effects: cannot attack the neutral entities. Other empires will find it easier to establish the communications with us. So probably empires that are also connected with them. And it's also in general a decision that influences your whole outlook towards other empires, and you would gain 50% more influence from each successful first contact process. It has been an encounter, now it's a process. And you see the different options. You can greet them with open arms, you can be cautious, and you must ward off those who would threaten us. And that is connected to the three policies here. The first policy, it's the first contact protocol that you can now change. It's proactive, which means you cannot attack them while they are neutral. Other empires will find it easier to establish communications and gain 50% more influence from each successful first contact process. And the first contact discovery speed will be 10% more. Now that's going to a whole process, and that process is very similar to the excavation and archeology. You'll see that later, and that gains 10% more speed through that. We have another options here. Cautious. We'll take every measure to prevent information about ourselves from falling into alien hands, which means you cannot attack them. Other nations will find it harder to establish communications with you. And negative first contact events are less likely to happen to us because you're so cautious, you won't misstep. And first contact target difficulty +2. Then we have the third one, the third option, the aggressive one. Unknown dangers may hide among the stars. So you can attack them even while they're new, even while you don't know them. You can attack them already. Enables hostile first contact options such as abduction and dissection. And for the aggressive option to be possible, you must not be pacifist and not be xenophile. Or fanatic xenophile for that matter. So it's a very, very crazy policy that only few empires will probably use. So once you've established the protocol policy you want to use, you go to the investigation. And the investigation is this process that is like an excavation, basically, from the mechanics of it. But you now assign an envoy to it. And will the envoys now get special abilities? I think it's close to that. The investigation will then be able to begin. It will run through stages, will contain events similar to an archaeological dig site. The reason why they chose that system, because it's a great way of letting a process run over time in a way where it can also deliver some narrative along the way. And that's cool, because I really love the archaeology thing. I really love finding the excavations, and I think it's describing very well that diplomacy is a process, especially first contact with someone is a process where you need to step very carefully, and you need to make your steps strategically. And as this is a strategy game, this seems good. So since first contact now uses an envoy, that also means that it no longer pauses society research, and it's possible to run multiple first contact investigations simultaneously as long as you have the envoys required. So diplomatic empires, which have a lot more envoys to start with, have a big advantage there for establishing first contacts, and probably also first alliances. So it makes a lot of sense to handle it that way. You can see you have here established first contact with the alpha aliens, and you have that little symbol here. Our envoy Haske Gentar is working here to find out more about these aliens. And you see, that is the process. The Alpha aliens quickly become apparent that the Alpha aliens are part of a spacefaring civilizations. The our probes have detected starships and so on. And fascinating, and the first contact process advances here to the next step. It still has that symbol of digging. Yeah, you might dig the other aliens, but that's another story. That will probably change, right? When you dig through the process. The events that you can get depend on the type of empire you are and on the type of alien empire you are trying to contact, which is a very cool thing. And I hope there's also something maybe for changing the observation post to contact the primitive civilizations. There are friendly and peaceful paths as well as less so. We've heard about the abductions, yes. As a xenophobic empire with an aggressive first contact protocol, it is possible to secure a couple of specimens for a closer look. Yeah, you have to find out the weaknesses, right? Here, the encounter. If they possess a language, we should decipher it so that we can assess how much of a threat they pose. They're called the menace, yeah. There's something here. Let's nab some of them for closer investigation. We can abduct specimens from there. And there's more. We have, in that case, they had some aliens captured. You can choose if you want to interrogate the hostages or let the vivisection commence. We'll likely find out more from this approach, but the Alpha Menace will be extremely displeased when they find out. The first contact process advances. Yeah, we'll come back to this. This gives you a diplomatic modifier when you when you do this. The choices you make during first contact can also have long-term effects on your relationship with the alien empire. You need to choose wisely, decide which trade-offs you're willing to make. Are you perhaps a materialistic and xenophobic empire that values scientific progress above all? I mean, both the roleplay and the gameplay options are very mind-boggling. It's really cool. As you can see here, just like in XCOM, you have the alien study complete. The hostages proved unwilling to cooperate with us, but this became a moot point as we began to cut them open. Oh god, no. Driven to terror by the cruelty of our actions, a handful of the aliens who were now known to be Hans cooperated with us as we sought to translate their language and access to their computer systems. As a result, we now have considerable intelligence we are able to deploy against them should the need arise. You gain influence, and you gain some tech here, and you instantly have first contact. And you gain intel, and that means there's something with spying on the way, as has already been slightly teased. As you can see here, they've contacted these guys, the Han Allied Realms. We wish you no harm. And now you can respond. Cooperation will surely benefit us all. And as we're playing the war technocracy in that screenshot, that is, I think, xenophobe, you cannot probably opt for the cooperation. But you can say, we do not care for your frivolous morality. Or you can just say, aliens come. And what will that bring you? Giving us 33% redacted on them. And that's probably, most probably, espionage. And the opinion of the war technocracy changes by -30. So here you can see the modifiers. The modifiers are pretty cool. As you can see here, the hostile first greeting is a -30, and the vivisections are also -120, +1 yearly. So it goes away, but I mean, if you want this to go away, it needs 120 years for this to go away. They're cooperative at the moment from their stance, but of course they are hostile. When you have had a vivisection and hostile first greetings, it's nearly impossible to get some kind of alliance going on with them. And you can see that they really hate a lot about the war in that case. Oh, and there's also this eye here. Yeah. And just in the case you didn't notice the glaring pink eye, that it probably symbolizes intel, right? It redacted here. That's all for this week, and some new features that allow you to explore maps like the one posted here below. And what is new about this map is you have kind of knowledge where some people are, but not exactly something about them. So you'd have different layers of intelligence about where the empires are, but not exactly what they have. Like it is at the moment, you know an empire, you know the full planets, the full systems they have. You don't know where the ships are or something like that, but you basically see the whole area of the empire. And that changes here. And you can see you have different stages. You know more in this screenshot about your neighbors, but of this neighbor, you don't know much. And if you think you might be, well, maybe the Jehetma, then you can see you know a lot about your neighbors here, but then there's an empire you can see a lot, but you don't have a name of. Then there's some empires you have the name of, but you don't see the area, and so on. There's gonna be a lot of depth added to the game, a lot of intelligence, espionage, and the first contact protocol, and I love it all. It's a super good addition to the game, and everyone is absolutely happy with this. It will be a great addition to the game, and so I'm looking really forward to it. What do you think about these changes, and what is your favorite thing about it? Is it the redacted thing? Are you also enthusiastic about the first contact protocols? Because I really like that as a start as well. That's just me personally. It's a good story combined with good gameplay changes, and that makes me very positive about the direction Stellaris is going into. Thank you for watching and happy gaming to you. This is Immanuel Can signing out. See you soon and happy gaming.